I believe in giving credit where credit is due. So before we get into the episode, we are going to name our sponsors. So the sponsors of season 4 are Levo Oil. They were gracious enough to give us a home infuser to be able to make some amazing recipes this season. If you are someone who has been wanting to make infusions at home a little bit easier, definitely check out shop.levooil.com and see if there's something you just have to have in your kitchen. In addition to Temperance Home and Bar. I love Melissa. Melissa has been a true sponsor of our show, working on almost every season with us, and I just love her Botanica. Melissa goes above and beyond to ensure that all of her clients leave super duper happy and are in a better spiritual place than when they came. Please check out the show notes so you can follow her on social media and check out her Etsy page. Let's get into the episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of Tutia Bruja. I'm Bex Carlos, your host, and this is our 1-year anniversary episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being on this journey with me. I feel like I've met so many amazing humans, spiritual humans, because of this, and I am so grateful that every week or whenever I decide to do it, because I'm not the best about keeping a schedule, whenever I put out content, you're wanting to listen. I truly appreciate that. This has allowed me to create, some witchy communities. I had the most amazing start to the retrograde, I guess. I mean, as it has been super duper heavy, don't get me wrong. But I collected some eclipse water with one of my patrons, Berto. Shout out. I want to really have him on an episode in the future, so look forward to that. He's been selling little pulseritas, and they're so cute. So the link to get in contact with him and look at his socials are in the show notes. But yeah, I just really, really love this. I love being able to have this be part of my job, talking about my spiritual journey, how I'm releasing all these things that no longer benefit me, doing the shadow work. And, I love that we can connect because sometimes, we just hold on to all this generational trauma. Sometimes I know that all of the trauma and sadness and things that I hold within me are not just my own. They're things our ancestors dealt with. And depending on how close you are to colonization. And the other day, I think this is an interesting point to bring up. The other day, I was in a clubhouse group and it was really amazing to connect with so many different Latinos and Latinx individuals. But I think the thing is that sometimes how many different generations you're also disconnected from the home country and the realities that they face and the ignorance. My family members and stuff love them to death. They're from Mexico. And I just see a lot of them not being able to better their situations due to colonization. It's just a domino effect, right? Someone was saying that the word conquistador can be triggering for people, and it can. It can be triggering for people. And you might say, oh, well, that was some 500 years ago. That doesn't mean the effects don't continue. And that doesn't mean that that person isn't more connected to that pain. We don't get to decide what triggers people. Okay. At the end of the day, we don't get to decide that. So we should all just be a little bit more courteous to people and what they're dealing with and whatever particular trauma they are battling. And I hope that we're all taking the measures to heal some of that pain. In my efforts to do shadow work and really just live a happier life, because I'm truly trying to remove not only just all that generational shit, but all of my stuff, Recently I microdosed. I've been microdosing on mushrooms, which don't take my word for it. Please do your own research on that. But psilocybin, and I could be pronouncing that wrong, but in all my research, it really helps, and it helps with depression. And when I get low, I get low. And because I feel like I'm just not even carrying the own weight of myself. I'm carrying the pain of, and I don't want to say the pain of the world because that sounds so emo, but it's true. Sometimes I just look at what's going on in the world and it just brings me down. It makes me so sad. And I hate being this sensitive and I hate being this emotional about stuff that isn't even connected to me. But maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe I don't know. I like having a sense of humanity and caring about people. Seems like it's really missing from the world. You know what I mean? But, I've been doing a lot of shadow work from particularly middle school and high school. I think there's a lot of things from that time period I didn't deal with. And one of those beating unrequited love, right? Like, I think it was Charlie Brown who said, "There's nothing that gets the taste of peanut butter out of your mouth, much like unrequited love," or something to that effect. And damn, sometimes we don't realize that, like, I don't know, I've been realizing lately that the reason that I didn't tell my unrequited love that he was someone that I cared for is because I was just so afraid. I was just so afraid. And it's funny, I kind of just mentioned this on my TikTok recently, like some funny realization in hindsight that's really hilarious. And so when I was in second grade, I remember kissing a boy for the first time, a little white boy. And he was so grossed out. Like, he was so grossed out. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I'm so gross. Like, I'm so gross. I'm so gross that he is physically repulsed, you know? And that fucked me up. And so I think that, like, I was so insecure, and the idea of this boy that I just cared about so much, so much. And I don't know, I actually kind of have a terrible memory of, I think, me trying to kiss him and him not being into it. And so maybe that's what I'm holding back. But either way, whether or not he knew later on, I think is something that I could never tell him, you know, whether or not he knew, I guess, is irrelevant, but I could never tell him. And I'm not that little girl anymore. I'm that person that if something makes me uncomfortable, I'm going to speak up. If I like you, I'm going to tell you. If I, you know, like, I just for so long left so many things unsaid, and I don't think any of us should live with regret, you know what I mean? And I think that I don't do that anymore. I'd rather know. And so we're all living, we're all growing, we're all having this human experience. We're all processing it at different times. And I think sometimes it's important to realize that you can only take on what you can take on when you can take it on. This is going to be a short one. I have another episode that is coming up next. I'm trying to release 2 today, and then hopefully one on Tuesday. We shall see. But the next one is, I did an interview with Serena Penley, and she is a Kung Fu instructor. She has a moniker that she goes by, which is the Cussing Tarot Reader. And I think that her story of using cannabis to, you know, ease some of the withdrawals from alcohol is something worth sharing. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's important to talk about the ways that plant medicine has helped us. Like, earlier I told you about, you know, microdosing shrooms helping me and my mood, and helping process some of those difficult memories that were a little hard to come up to the surface. And I think it's important to realize and share these experiences, because I think that so many people demonize these plants, and they're so terrible, and they're going to make you addicted, and you're going to become a criminal, and whatever else in white supremacy they tell us about, you know, these plant medicines. But I think it's important to realize that it can be the thing to help heal you, you know? And thank you for listening. I appreciate all the support you've given me in the last year. I'm truly humbled, honestly. And I hope that you'll continue on this journey. I'm going to try and keep making cool stuff. If you have been curious about following me on Patreon, subscribing to that, I'd suggest it. We've started doing this thing called Luna Llena Unions, which is cool. We get together, we try to either banish something terrible that's weighing us down, or we try to attract things that we need. And I do want to say, because we did the last one when there was that eclipse, so we actually gathered eclipse water, and that eclipse water has helped me keep going during this retrograde. Like, truly, I've been making, like, cannabis lemonade. Well, I guess technically it's like a limonada because I use limes. And, you know, I made like a strawberry limeade the other day. And I just, you know, if we got to heal ourselves, we got to find cool and fun and delicious ways to do it. And sometimes it helps to just have a lemonade and process some of those feelings and cry. So thank you for listening to the show. All of my information to follow me and keep in touch with me is in the show notes. I think the only thing that might not be is my socials. You can follow my personal at Bex B. Caston, and you can follow the podcast at Tutia Bruja. Thanks for listening. I am glad we're learning and growing together. Thanks. Bye.
Mm,